Welcome back on the AM show. As promised, we head straight into our election headquarters. Just to let you know, though, they are sponsoring. These are the sponsors for our election headquarters from now all the way till Sunday. Petrosol and the New Force. And of course, New Force, a new nation. But our guest on this beat, Evans Nimako, Director of Elections and Research with the NPP. Mr. Nimako, a very good morning to you, sir.
Good morning to you and viewers across the world.
It was good seeing you yesterday at the Gimpa event. You ran off before I could catch you, but I spotted you in there following all the legal matters. It was good seeing you anyway. Well,
thank you.
We get into the meat of the matter. On November the 4th, Saturday, tomorrow, your party is taking a giant step in terms of picking who will lead this organization, this setup, into election 2024. Let me just premise the conversation by asking, up to this point, how have preparations leading up to this election been like for your side?
Well, thank you very much for having me once again. I must say that the party's National Council put together the Okwe Committee, and the committee has worked hand in hand with our presidential candidates, with the Electoral Commission and Ghana Police Service. So far, I must say that all stakeholders will be recommended for the enormous contribution they've made towards having a very successful presidential primaries tomorrow. You know, the party is having its annual delegate conference, but when conference is supposed to elect the flag bearer, it becomes the National Congress.
Right.
In view of the numbers, the party has decentralized the conference. And so the exercise is going to take place in all the constituencies across the country, with the exception of Sunyani East. And you are looking at all polling station executives across the 38,622 polling stations, all electoral area coordinators across the 6,272, all constituency executives, all regional executive committee members, our members of parliament, our MMDCs. You are looking at the National Council members, National Executive Committee, past national officers, external branch delegates. So all put together, the committee in collaboration with our agents, i.e. our presidential candidates, one of whom is going to be elected tomorrow, have put together what we call the presidential guidelines, which has a lot of contribution and professional advice from the police service and the Electoral Commission. And per our understanding and agreement, all issues relating to the conduct of the exercise in terms of the elections will be handled by the Electoral Commission. In the same vein, all issues relating or bordering on security issues is in the care of the Ghana Police Service. We've come very far, and the party appreciates that it will take all of us to be on the page to ensure that tomorrow exercise will be free, will be fair, because the committee, chaired by Professor Romakope, has provided the level playing field for all stakeholders. And so far, the New Patriotic Party, by God's grace, is ready to have this successful presidential primaries.
Before we get into more of the breakdown, now that you talk about a free and fair election, you have heard, undoubtedly, some of the comments that have come through about even bribery, about manipulation of the process, about intimidation, right from Alan Chamating to others. And there are, recently, my colleague Elton Brobe spoke to Dr. Efri Akwato, who confirmed and said that he completely agreed with the assertions made by Alan Chamating, who has now left your party and formed his movement. The others have echoed saying, the likes of the Asin Central legislator, Kennedy Japan, he has said that there was even an attempt to, buy him off, and he resisted it. The camp that has been accused has debunked that, denied it. But how does all of that play out for elections that are truly free and fair, especially when there is the belief that there is an establishment candidate and that the party is being ramped up in favor of this person?
Thank you. But elections all over the world, when it gets to the peak, you are likely to experience some of these nuances. But the New Patriotic Party is focused, the Elections Committee is focused, and we've brought everyone on board. We've only pleaded with our candidates and their support base to be mindful of the guidelines that we've put in place to ensure that we'll have a very successful exercise. Some of these comments, I would say, are not the best, but a lot of positives that the committee, in collaboration with the stakeholders, have chopped. And so we look out for those ones. Yesterday, for instance, there was an exercise that at the behest of the National Council of Elders, all the presidential candidates, the National Council of Elders, the national officers of the party, the Presidential Elections Committee, the Disciplinary Committee of the party, met at Alisa, which was witnessed by the President of Ghana, and we had President Kufuor coming in to give enormous advice to the party and to the presidential candidates. And so, yes, walking along the lane towards November 4, lots has passed under the bridge. But I might say that there are positives. So issue of bribery, intimidation, and all those ones you've mentioned, at this point, we've all agreed as stakeholders in the party, ensuring that we conduct a smooth exercise tomorrow. Some of the things must be left as at the hearsay level, because as I keep on saying...
But Evans, pardon my intervention. You say hearsay, fine, but you have one of those contesting to be flag bearer, pointing at the fact that there was an attempt to get him to step aside with monetary influence. It's not just a mean person, anybody. It is someone who has served as member of parliament for how many years now, and he is now contesting to be flag bearer. He placed second when the super delegates, voting occurred, and you say it's hearsay?
I'm saying that, is there any proof that this person has done this amount to this person? And I'm saying I don't have any such evidence before me. The committee has not been given any such evidence or report or petition to go into. What we've heard is that, yes, camps have been talking. And so we're saying that we are focused. We want to conduct a very free, fair, transparent exercise. And at all times that the Elections Committee has met, it's been with the candidates. And so I don't want at this point to let us go into the merit or demerit of the accusations that have come along. What I'm saying is that all these happening will be deemed as some of the nuances in the electoral game. But as much as possible, we should look at the positives and have proportional issues that will border on the electoral fortunes of the party have been handled. Yes, some comments have been made against candidates, and I'm saying that when you are going to elections, even developed democracies, there are nuances within. And so, for all this being said, the New Patriotic Party yesterday was still able to put together all the presidential candidates. And it's unfortunate you could not witness it because you couldn't get the opportunity to be there. I must say that the party is formidable. The committee put together by the National Council has done the work that will ensure that all of them will appreciate that the conduct of the exercise is in line with the party's constitution, in line with the party's guidelines, in line with the rules and regulations put together to ensure that the conference will be the one that will elect for the presidential candidate. And the tomorrow's victory is not any particular person's victory, but the victory for the New Patriotic Party.
Now let's talk about hosting this event in all the constituencies. You know, there was talk about this initially, and people felt that no, this dissemination of voting would allow for influence and all of that. What measures has the party put in place to ensure that those concerns that were raised initially will not pan out come tomorrow?
Okay, so I mean, those race issues have been raised as much as possible and to a large extent. Our engagement with the key stakeholders have allayed their fears that there will be aiding malfeasance, because for each of the polling stations that the exercise will take place, there are guidelines that must be followed. You must be within the register to have access into the electoral area or voting area. And that has been discussed with the candidates, with the police, and with the EC. And so even the selection of the venue for the conduct of this exercise was done by the Electoral Commission, and all parties accepted the venue selected, and where there were issues, changes were made with the agreement of all key stakeholders, as I've mentioned. And so if you are doing this and across the 330 voting centers, you have given accreditation to candidate agents who will see to the interests of their respective principals, then you'll be assured that some of the issues raised or risks identified will be put to rest. And so I can assure you, the level of engagement, agreement we've had, upon which we've had the guidelines that will be used for the conduct of the exercise, fears have been allayed, and the exercise will be as smooth as you can imagine.
Let's also talk about the numbers. I have seen quite a number of numbers bandied about, even up to about 220,000 that would be voting. But what I have seen that we subscribe to, or at least is close to the official figure, 208,342. Of course, that includes some of those you mentioned: MPs, MMDCEs, ministers and deputy ministers, foundation members, national council members, patrons and council of elders, regional officers, constituency officers, patrons, constituency co-elders. The list is a long one. But what is the official figure as of now?
Thank you. I can tell you that because we will not have the electoral coordinators in Mampong voting, as well as the constituency executive in Mampong. We are not having polling station executive, electoral coordinators, and constituency executives in Sunyani East voting. And therefore, the number as we have, putting all together, is 204,144.
204,000.
144 delegates across the country will be voting tomorrow.
All right. Thanks so much for that clarity. So we have also seen, I have heard some people call on your party heading into the Congress tomorrow that they are hoping for peace. They are hoping there will be no skirmishes. There have been incidents of some people trying to photograph whom they voted for and all of that. What assurance are you giving the members of your party, the leadership of your party, and Ghanaians at large, because we don't want anything that will degenerate into anything else, in terms of how peaceful the process will be tomorrow?
Thank you. It is going to be very peaceful. This is an exercise that all security arrangements that have been put together, or the security architecture, is chaired or in the hands of the IGP. And the level of discussion we've had, there's assurance that the police will provide the professional services to the party and to installations of the new patriotic party. The party has provided to the Electoral Commission the list or album of our voters or delegates in all voting centers. The party has made it clear to the rank and file that at all voting centers, the Council of Elder Chair and Chair of the Patron at the constituency level will represent the Presidential Elections Committee. There is going to be strict compliance of these guidelines put together in the presidential elections guidelines for the conduct of the exercise. It is going to be very peaceful. All those who are not delegates, this is an election that is being conducted in the full glare of the public. We expect full compliance. If anybody has other thoughts of causing any mayhem, our advice, it should be left in the minds of those people. Once it is exhibited, the Ghana Police Service is ready to confront those issues. For our delegates, polling station executive, electoral coordinators, constituency executive, our cherished regional executive, founding members, national council members representing regions, external branch delegates, past executive, you are looking at council of elders and patrons, members of parliament, MMDC. I would say that these are senior party members with the responsibility to ensure that the New Patriotic Party remains very united, focused to wrestle power again come 2024 general elections. We are focused and nothing will detract us from getting our objective done. The exercise, as is going to take place in all constituencies and the party headquarters at Asalam Down, is expected to start in the morning at 7 a.m. and will close at 2 p.m. At the end of it, the Electoral Commission will do the collation, and when collation is over, the party will converge at the Accra Sports Stadium forecourt, where the final declaration will be made and the presidential candidate adored. This exercise we've discussed with all stakeholders. The General Secretary lawyer Kodia yesterday engaged the press and lay out bare all these arrangements put together by the Presidential Elections Committee. We expect all members to comply. And as we've been advised, it is better to be a messenger in a party, in government, than a general secretary in an opposition party. We are together, we are focused, and the party is organizing a very successful presidential primaries come tomorrow.
Was that a subtle dig at Fifi Fiavikwete?
I went to a wife.
Just clarify, was that a dig at Fifi Kwete?
You see, for us as New Patriotic Party, we agree that we don't need to be friends. We agree that we are bound by the dictates of the elephants. We are under the elephant shadow and we comply with our internal arrangement. And so I can understand that for some people, they have difficulty knowing what the New Patriotic Party is. But I can assure you that when we are done with tomorrow's exercise, the world will know that the New Patriotic Party is genuine and we are ready to put our force together to ensure that the over 18 million people in the register, as we have it, majority of them will vote for our presidential candidate come 2024 presidential elections.
Just the final bit. Are you voting tomorrow? Do you have a vote?
Members of the National Executive Committee and National Council are delegate to this conference.
Right.
And per my position, I am a delegate from the National Council, National Executive Committee.
Which of the candidates are you supporting?
The New Patriotic Party.
You have a candidate that you're supporting, right?
The New Patriotic Party comes tomorrow, 4th November 2023. We emerge victorious.
Yes, but as one with a vote, you are going to vote for one of them, right?
The decision to vote is a franchise given to delegate as I've listed. And so we expect all delegates, except those who could not make it but appointed proxies, to go through the process, observe the rules, and cast their votes. At the end of the exercise, the New Patriotic Party will emerge victorious.
Will Evans Nimaku vote tomorrow?
All things being equal, the battle is the Lord's.
Will you vote tomorrow, sir? Will you cast your ballot? Will you express your opinion? Will you vote?
I don't think Evans voting should be too much of a news.
Oh, but this is just about, it's like asking, will you vote in the 2024 election? I'm not, you are not answering whether you vote for this person or that person. Will you vote? That's it. Will you vote?
My brother, definitely I'll vote tomorrow, and I'll vote come December 2024.
Thank you, Evans Nemako. Thank you so much for joining the conversation. Once more, it's a great pleasure.
Thank you for having me.
All right. And that is the Director of Election and Research with the NPP. He's definitely casting his ballot tomorrow. But stay with us when we return after the break. In this ever-changing landscape of peace and security, effective leadership plays a pivotal role in addressing the complex challenges faced by nations and organizations worldwide. Well, recognizing that critical importance of strategic leadership in the field of peace and security, GIMPA Training and Consulting has partnered with the African Union's Department of Political Affairs, Peace and Security for a special training on leadership. We'll bring you details of that after the break.